Throughout the essay, as in his other works, Freire makes the plea to recognize education as a gnosiological condition, meaning to recognize the origin, nature, and validity of knowledge. Specifically, viewing education as one which encompasses characteristics such as love for dialogue, critical, participatory, and has capacity to unite the educator and students as subjects in the process of knowing. He argues that when these criteria are not met, education diminishes into verbalism and is no longer inviting to transcend to a level of critical engagement. Education thus becomes inconsequential. Freire argues that despite authenticity in different phases and levels of knowledge, none must be negated as valuable to the worldviews of those who embrace that particular knowledge. Furthermore, it is the role of the extension worker to assist in overcoming the magic perception of reality, while at the same time achieving technical training. Central to the essay is the idea that the approach taken by extension workers results in cultural invasion as a sole solution to liberation. He elucidates this conclusion through three phases. There lies an assumption that knowledge is being deposited into an empty consciousness, also known as banking education. There is an underestimation of their power of reflection, of their ability to take on the true role of seekers of knowledge. Hence the tendency to transform them into objects of the knowledge imposed on them. The lack of faith in people results in the third phase, which is the assertion that ignorance is absolute. This assumption spirals back into the of the banking model of education and denies any sense of agency and free will that liberatory education seeks to achieve. The varying dimensions of cultural invasion fall under the umbrella of hegemony, resulting in the domestication and manipulation of the recipients. Reminding the reader that extension does not imply education, Freire highlights that education is communication and dialogue, and it is the role of educator to move the dialogue forward through problem posing and, most importantly, critical dialogue. Reciprocity in communication creates space for engaged subjects where knowledge is propagated, and the dialectic relations with reality enable conditions continuous liberation and challenge to oppressed situations. There is an explicit expression that liberation is a collective engagement as critical consciousness takes place in social structures, and thus education can never be neutral. Freire's pedagogical approach has been taken up well beyond Brazil or Latin America. His method and theories were introduced into the world as a revolution of adult learning. His impact on literacy training, in particular, has stood the test of time and is reflected in a multitude of initiatives, programs, and documents. Paulo Freire is considered the originator of the theoretical model of critical pedagogy that has influenced the educational training of teachers, particularly in the United States, but also in several other countries. His work reflects the quintessential nature of comparative and international education. Freire's critique of banking education, the idea of education for freedom, the fact that his theoretical framework can be used to study the relations between class, race, ethnicity, gender, and the state in education, and its role in illuminating the intricate relationship between politics and education through the paradigm of popular education. All of these have meant that Freire's message has made a deep and lasting impact on educational models. The movement for popular education in Latin America, Africa, and Asia owes a great deal of its theoretical foundations, methodology, and praxis to the work of Paulo Freire and the pedagogies of liberation. After the crisis of neoliberalism, these models of popular education have acquired renewed energy in the context of counteracting the crisis of capitalism, and are being used by social movements in new and original ways. In the following several slides, we present an overview of the generative themes that you can read through. Please copy and paste the link in a new tab to learn more about Paulo Freire through the interactive game. Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Freire's notion of constructivist pedagogy and his interdisciplinary approach have impacted on many disciplines and practices across the world. While his theories have crossed the borders of disciplines and sciences, his reflections have deepened the theme that he pursued his whole life: education as the practice of freedom. His theories spilled over into different fields of knowledge, from education to health, from pedagogy to politics, from sociology to social work. There is no question that Paulo Freire's border-crossing perspective in the 1960s resulted in a transdisciplinary approach that has gained even more recognition in the new century. Here's the list of the materials that we used in preparation for this presentation. Thank you for watching this presentation. We look forward to reading your questions and comments. Thank you.